Well, there's not a building.
And,
It's just for the welcome center.
I got you.
See, that's hard. They have to make something like they're
Not
just
swear, live and
No.
streaming.
they're just taking it off of they what they own and giving it to somebody.
Call to order.
You go ahead.
Mayflower Planning Commission, July 8th, 2025, Mayflower, Arkansas. Barbara, if you would, please, roll call.
Rusty Waters,
Here.
Randy Holman, Chad Patterson,
Here.
Camp Brown.
Here. Thank you. Can I get a motion to suspend the rules and accept the minutes from our last meeting in June as recorded?
Make a motion.
Motion, second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
Who did the second?
Second was
Randy.
We're going to go ahead and tackle we have two zoning issues, those zoning requests this evening, so we're going to go ahead and go into our zoning board and handle that. Both of those items, even though they're split up on the agenda, that way we're in and then out. So the first item is the zoning request for 7 Crafton and 52 Lake Forest. I think we spoke on this last time. We tabled it so that we could discuss it with city council and give folks some more time to get paperwork and things together. City council didn't have any issues with that. So now we're a month later. We need to have a decision tonight, one way or the other, so that the Webbs know which way to go. So with that, Mr. Webb, do you have anything new to add?
No.
Say, okay. Anybody else have anything to add in response to Mr. Webb's, Mr. and Mrs. Webb's, request? Yep.
Michelle,
It helps for all the folks, streaming, so they can hear it.
it's awful, right? Anyway, we did the petition and we have it, all the signatures that we gathered. You asked for me to put together a summary, I guess. So I went through all of the addresses on each road that's involved. There is a total of 33 occupied properties. Out of those 33, 23 have signed the petition. 10 were either not available, we couldn't catch them at home, or they wouldn't answer the door. And then there is, best I can tell, there's 7 vacant lots with like trailers and different houses on the place. So I didn't count those into the total.
No occupancy.
So what do you need?
Can I have that sheet?
Mhm.
Just because we'll here. I don't- I'm just standing there, sitting there like a log, on a log. Yeah, we'll be able to just include this with our documentation. So this is good to have. So,
Do you need the actual petition?
yes, that would be, yeah, exactly. Thank you, sir. Okay.
I think that's it. I called everybody and, well, texted everybody and told them to try to come tonight.
Mhm.
Just you that's here, but I've been a little under the weather, so it was like last night. So I don't know if everybody got the text or.
Well, that's okay. I mean, they don't necessarily have to be here. You know, we heard from a lot of folks last time. You've done some legwork here. So I think this is documentation. Commissioners, anyone want to look over these? Need to? No? Okay. Thanks, we appreciate you. Yes, sir.
My name is Keith Bowles. I live at 31 Lake Forest. I guess at least my first question is, do y'all have the lot sizes of these 4 lots in question?
I don't have the dimensions. They would have to meet the minimum lot frontage of 50 foot, but I don't have the dimensions of all the lots.
Okay, well, I was just thinking that, by y'all's information, you need to have 10 or fewer lots per gross acre minimum, and that would mean 8/10 of an acre for those 4 lots combined. And I've really got a question as to whether it's that large or not.
Right, okay.
You have any information on that?
The total of the 4 lots are 200 by 200. When you break them up, that equals 50 by 200 on each side. And the floor plan I have is, I believe, 30 acres, leaving 10% by lot on each side of the duplex when you build it for the property lines. So we're within zoning, within reason, within permitting, everything's legit.
Well, I think this is just a matter of overall amount of property there.
Well, it is within, yes, it will be. And for what it's worth, there's you actually asked me a question in the comments. I did do some research. There are 2 duplexes in the area for what it's worth. There's one coming up Lake Shore, I believe, and there's 2 or 3 across the street by Bates. So there's duplexes in the area for what it's worth.
There's no multifamily within the immediate neighborhood at all.
Well, I mean, we're getting into subjective terms. I need objective terms.
As far as whether there's duplexes or not,
As far as what your definition of immediate is, that's a subjective statement. I need objective.
everything on Crafton and Lake Forest.
That's the kind of statement that I need.
Okay.
I don't know.
Duplexes.
I don't know what your definition of immediate neighborhood is. I can't make a decision, or they can't, I don't make the decisions. They can't make decisions without objective facts, not subjective statements. So that just helps us better, maybe make decisions better. So that, not just for you, but for everybody. Thanks for coming in, getting your, coming and speaking, but we need those objective facts for us. You know, if you say no, you know, not an immediate neighborhood on Crafton or Lake Forest, you know, so that helps us see it better.
Okay, well, I can assure you there are no duplexes whatsoever on either Crafton or Lake Forest.
Yeah.
And I'd also like to say that if, you know, you may farm experience a little bit more revenue from a project like this in the beginning, but in the long run, it's a bad idea for the neighborhood, and therefore it will be a bad idea for Mayflower. And, you know, we got a lot more than just tomorrow right here. It's the future of a nice, quiet neighborhood. We're definitely concerned about that.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Yes, Mayor?
May I ask the question?
Yes, sir.
We talked about the petition. What exactly, can somebody read what the petition is against or for, or the
Yep.
purpose of the signatures?
Sure. So it says, "We, the undersigned residents of Crafton subdivision surrounding areas, strongly oppose the proposed rezoning of the lots at the corner of Crafton and Lake Forest from R1MH to R2, allowing multifamily duplexes into a long-established single-family neighborhood." So everyone who signed was against having the multifamily units, the zoning changed into R2 to allow the duplex.
What was the opposition bullet pointed in terms of why that they're opposed to having, I'm not familiar with it. Was it 2 duplexes? Four
Yeah,
duplexes?
it would be 8 units total.
The bullet points is drainage stress, increased flooding, increased strain on infrastructure, devaluation of existing R1 properties, and introducing high-density developments into existing low-density neighborhoods can lead to unintended consequences, including increased safety concerns and changes to the overall character of the community.
Okay, the safety concerns. What exactly are we talking about?
Well, we are talking about, I mean, anytime you add multifamily units into single-family areas, you're gonna have more increased traffic stress on the roadways. There's just a lot of stuff that comes along.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, you know, in terms of the list of what you as the petition developer was citing, in terms of, not just people's opinion, but why, you know, you're thinking that that's going to be the case. And in some cases, just like over in, on the corner of Miller Street and Center Street, you've got 3 duplexes that's multifamily that's building there, that's going to be an asset to the community. And there's always that possibility, you know,
Folks, can I not have the conversation inside talk? The audience, the comments, if it continues to happen, I'll have to ask you to take the conversation outside.
And I'm not disputing what you're saying, is that, but in some cases, just because it's a duplex, doesn't mean that you're going to decrease the area. I know where on Cross Street, there's going to be a total of 6 duplexes, as well as on the corner of Miller and Center Street, there'll be 3. And those are going to be high-end units. It's not going to be your average low income. So in terms of your clientele, it's going to be of a higher nature. So with that adds, that's an asset to the community. I'm not disputing anything you're saying. I'm just wanting to see if there was itemized list of why you feel like it's going to be a detriment to the community.
Tony Hackler, I'm sure you remember me. One is gonna be our water and sewer system. You continue to add onto something that's already overtaxed. The system's been a problem since 1970 some odd when it was put in.
Yes, sir.
We were told that once that big bill was paid down, our sewer bill would go down. Has not happened. In fact, it just keeps climbing up. Well, you got 33% you're gonna be adding over the next 6 years.
I'm not sure of the total. We've got 200 and something houses that would do.
No, I'm talking about on my bill.
The city council hasn't decided what the rate increase is going to be. Yes, there's going to be one because the infrastructure of the city was neglected for decades and now it's crumbling.
Right,
So,
and that's where I'm coming along asking why would we be wanting to add to that?
Well, once you have,
You've got the big building, you got the big housing complexes and everything coming in over there.
yes, sir.
We're on an island.
We're landlocked.
We're landlocked over there. We're on an island.
Right.
If you go,
And if you're trying to make things like Maumelle or Conway, if I want to live in Maumelle or Conway, that's where I would have moved to. I can't here.
And we're not trying to be a Maumelle, a Conway, a Greenbrier, or the Longman. What we're trying to do is be Mayflower. We have opportunities and we have some really issues.
Yeah, we've got some serious issues with, say, the road. Forest Drive, Lake Forest Drive. It's not near as wide as it was before we started sending semis around through there here a while back when the water flooded. Okay?
oh yeah, that's about really for us.
They sent semis. If you ever drove it, you wonder why. You know, semis got stuck.
Well,
So they come back. Now it's not near as wide. You can't even meet 2 cars.
and that's,
And now we're gonna put, okay, how many cars you got in your house? No, it's not irrelevant because this is how many cars are gonna be standing in front of these duplexes.
We have the smallest lot in the neighborhood, so you can't compare it. We have the smallest lot.
No,
sir,
hold on.
order. Order.
What I'm asking is-
Let's not delve into the Webb's personal business.
Well, okay, here's
Here's
my point.
I'm still talking. I'm still talking. Their focus is on these two lots. Therefore, our focus is on these two lots. We will not entertain
Okay,
anything about their personal lives.
okay, but here's my point. That's 8 individual families, okay?
Mhm.
All right? College right down the road here. You could have as many as 4 or 5 per unit that was gonna be trying to park in this area that he's talking about.
Can you tell me how you've jumped into the future and know how many people are going to live there?
Because I've seen it.
In the future?
No, I've seen it in the past. I learned from the
him?
past.
From Mr. Webb?
No, not from Mr. Webb.
So,
From nature,
so
from
you,
people.
so your fear is that he will, I'm just trying to really.
Not him. It's not him. It's what's gonna happen when it's there.
He owns it. So your fear is that he will allow 4, 5, 6 people to move in like in Conway, which you just said we're not like,
That's right.
but you're saying we're like them.
No, we're not. We don't wanna be. If I wanted to live in Conway, I'd move to Conway.
So I'm just trying to figure out how you know
See-
he's gonna do that.
How do you know it won't?
I don't, because I haven't been to the future. And I'm
I
not here
haven't been to
making,
the future either, but I've seen how communities grow up and how the people that form those communities, establish those communities, get pushed out.
you're talking about gentrification is the actual word for the process you're describing there. So yeah, that's a thing and it happens. If that's a fear, then say it. But again, opinion is separate from fact, subjective, objective. Subjective is you fear that that's going to happen. We can't say
Okay.
objectively.
What is what's I'm trying to look for the word. How is that gonna better my neighborhood?
I don't know that it will. I'm not here to advocate one way or another, but this panel needs facts, not opinions. So
Well, facts is that when you add multifamily units into single-family neighborhoods, the single-family properties decline in value. That is-
can you cite that source for us?
I have 2 realtors that I have talked to about this specifically. One lady was with, you're gonna put me on the spot, this bit. Keller Williams.
Please make 3 copies.
Okay, sorry. I can't remember the other realtor.
Because if you look at housing data, there is competing results there. So you have 2 anecdotal opinions from who could be subject matter expert. I'm not saying that in our area that it would increase or decrease. I don't know. But when I ask people to cite their source, that's what I'm asking. What data have you pulled to draw that opinion?
Well, I can go back to them and find out.
If it's needed, yeah, go for it. I don't know if it'll be needed or not. But I'm just saying we got to be careful with making statements of fact based on opinion, because correlation does not equal causation. Those two are not the same.
Yes, I heard that.
You know that because you and I have talked, you've been an analyst, you know those things. A lot of people, they don't. The sun came up today and I put my shoes on. Therefore, the sun forced me to put my shoes on. No, that's correlation, not causation. So we can't make a statement of causation if all we had is correlation. Yes, sir.
Yeah, also, you cited, the concern about runoff. Everybody that comes in on a commercial basis has to provide a stormwater analysis. And that's why you see not only the subdivisions like Vineyard, they're required to put in 2 retention ponds. You go up to the Family Market, you'll see a retention pond for a collection of water that runs off. It is collected in that that so-called holding pin, and then it exits in a controlled manner to prevent any flooding, that type of thing. That would be the same thing if you got a certain size piece of property. They would be required to show that in terms of how that water is going to be handled. So that would be a data that would be required. And then if it's so deemed necessary, then that one or two retention ponds would have to be built into the floor plan or the site plan for that particular construction. Okay, I just wanted to pass that out. Barbara, I think, wanted to say something. Barbara, did you want to, it looked like you were going to enter in on the conversation.
No, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Chairman.
You're fine, Mayor, you're the mayor.
Please make my three comments. The
Go ahead.
first one was-
Can we get him at the
all good
microphone?
comments. Oh,
Should we give Mr. Webb the mic? There we go.
Those are all good comments, gentlemen, he made, and I was gonna kind of piggyback on that as far as the flood water and as far as the high-end duplexes. They are gonna be nice high-end duplexes for number one. For number two, we all know whenever you do real estate and add value in new construction, you add value to everything around you. I had that information by checking the clumps. By me building these duplexes, we're gonna add like $12,000 to $13,000 worth of value to each homeowner's home within the first year and a half. As far as the water drain, Mayflower, this is a great
Do I need to ask folks to leave?
idea.
In the back corner, do I need to ask y'all to leave? Yeah? Do I need to ask you to leave? I can't hear him over you and he's at a microphone.
As far as the water is concerned, this will be the great time to get the water issue resolved, because we know once you start new construction, when you work with the city, when I put driveways in and do water meters, the city will come in voluntarily and put in pipes, do whatever it takes so we won't flood. So we actually want attention and want to get this water issue handled. I believe the fastest, quickest way is to do the new construction, so that when we get their attention, they have all heard everybody's cries about the water. So there's no way they're gonna sit and let me build 4 duplexes and us have a water issue. So with that being said, I believe the ditches will be cleaned. With the ditches being cleaned and the grass and the leaves, that way the water will flow properly, and we'll all work together to make sure we won't have a water issue. And I can guarantee you that.
Okay.
Thank you.
We went through this 20 years ago about who's gonna pay for all of this that he just said the city was gonna do. Okay, at that point in time, the city wasn't gonna do it because that comes out of my pocket. When we were dealing with that before, that went to whoever was doing the construction. The other thing that I have is Lake Conway. The property he's talking about drains right straight down to the ditch that goes across the road, at Mr. Hammer's house, and into the lake. So we got all this tar, all these vehicles we're gonna be parking around, we're gonna have a lot of drainage. Has the Game and Fish put their 2 cents in? Have you heard anything from the Game and Fish?
No.
Okay, I think that's something that's really, because the Game and Fish had a lot to say about the other. Because
What
the
was
other one,
what was the other one?
the other one was everything back behind us and across the road.
How many acres was that?
How many acres?
Right in front of us.
You're talking about what, Roger,
Roger's Deli Bar.
Yes,
Yes, it's what they call it.
I think there's 13 to 15 acres in there.
Okay.
Okay, so
And they were wanting to change it to an R2.
we
But
discussed
Game
that
and Fish come in and then they were talking, the city told them that they were gonna have to put up the curbs, the streets, the drains, everything.
Right.
So that went down. That between that and the Game and Fish, because the water on that side drains to the ditch and goes into the lake on the other side. So we got water going from our area into the lake on 2 sides.
2 points. First off, Game and Fish probably would really be concerned about 13-acre runoff. They might not be concerned about an 0.8 of an acre runoff. However, even if it was approved tonight, they still got to go through all the permitting process and all that, and that's when Game and Fish would come in and say whether or not they bless it. So we're not doing any permitting tonight. That's not the function of this, is to do
Right.
permits. That's Chris and Miss Barbara here.
Right.
So-
Well, just concerns.
Yeah, no, and that's a very valid point. You know, you bring that up, water runoff, goes straight to the lake, has Game and Fish been involved? 100%, absolutely. That's the kind of feedback, kind of stuff we need to hear. So I appreciate that, absolutely. So yeah, if it was approved, then Game and Fish would come in later for their permitting.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The roads are narrow, any additional traffic in the neighborhood will be problematic. I don't know about my neighbors, my water pressure is adequate but large. Any additional load on this system would certainly be an issue.
Let me ask you this. Now, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm not advocating one way or another. Like I've said, I don't have a vote. We've got at least seven vacancies over there.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
We've got at least 7 vacancies over there
Okay.
at the Misha found. And the property Mr. Webb wants to develop 2 more, so that'd be 9. What would happen if 9 families moved into your neighborhood with no duplex? If you're saying any more people is too much,
It'd obviously be the same thing.
Say-
Make the system at least closer to an average.
so what I'm saying is you could have the same problem even without the duplexes. If
Sure.
give an average of 3 people per household.
If
That's
Mayflower doesn't upgrade the system, then yeah, obviously there's gonna be a problem.
okay.
If y'all do allow for additional, building duplexes in the area, then you're just exacerbating the problem yourself.
Good point.
And then I'd also like to say that, there are some people concerned in the neighborhood that the proposed developer admitted himself that he worked 4 different projects last year without the proper license. And, you know, if he did that last year, I mean, there's plenty of people that are concerned what he may do this year or next year.
I haven't, no one's come to me and said that, so I'm not gonna speak to it, because at this point, it's hearsay.
Well, it's true.
Well, how do you know it's true? Did you hear it? How do you know it's true? Did you hear it from him?
Patrick, would you like to speak to that?
I'm over here we're here to get 4 licenses on, we need to avoid this place.
Did you work on any project like you without the proper licenses?
We're here to get like he said, it's not about my
That's
personal
enough.
business. It's about these 2 things.
Y'all let me? Hello, y'all.
Hello.
Gary, 49 Lake Fork Drive. Now, I heard just a minute ago, you know, maybe the fact we get all over there. He said the water's gonna go through the ditches. But where's it gonna go? Across my property. It's the only place it can go. And you already called the city about checking it out already, I assume. I haven't been there to know that. But, and you talked about a pool. He's barely got enough room to put the duplexes, much less digging a pool to put this water in, what you talking about.
Well,
That's what I'm saying, there's a problem there that nobody's encountered, there's not enough room.
well, before, what I was speaking of, before a project is approved,
Right, I understand
a
that.
site plan has to be
Right.
submitted to the commission.
Right.
With that, an engineering drawing that shows where that water is going to go, and how it's going to be collected and where it's going to exit. If that, when you say coming across your property, no matter if you're building a single,
Oh, that's very simple, sir.
well, I can't come in and build a piece of, a house, let's say, and divert my water over on you. It has to go down. At that point, it has to, exit has to be created, whether it be a small canal, a drainage canal or whatever.
Where's it gonna go? Going to Lake Conway.
Well, and that's what the mayor's saying.
That's my problem.
There's a host of mitigation mechanisms.
Right.
The pond was just one example that the mayor gave.
Yeah.
It could be increasing the width of sewer lines.
Another point I wanna make, that I'll
I'm-
leave you guys alone.
I mean, I think the mayor's point was just that
Yeah,
we-
example, I understand.
we
Yeah.
wouldn't have a commercial, venture come in and just willy-nilly things. But the mayor's been out there. I do want to talk to you, about his yard issue, because it's significant, and it seems like, from our conversation, it seems like something the city did to his property. So, back in the day, not recently, back in the day, that we might.
No, you,
No, that was long years ago, that regardless, even if it wasn't us, we at least want to talk to him about maybe perhaps rectifying the situation, because we did create it
Okay.
back in the day.
One of the things I'd also like to say is, you know, as far as the roads, whoever brought that up, you're exactly right. My contention, and I've been on record, when Mayflower was laid out with the roads and this type of thing, I feel that they had to been on a 4-day drop.
had to be, had to be.
And that's not to bust anybody back
Right.
then, but there was very little future planning in terms of all of our roads. How do we go in and widen? Case in point, right now, Jimmy's not here. We're in the process of preparing to widen Main Street, all the way from Sturgis, all the way down to Miller Street. If you've gone down there, we are in the process of, you know, the railroad track has with the property on the east side. You can't deal with the railroad track. So what we're planning on doing is cutting those trees back on the east side. If you've gone down there, you've seen activity, you're gonna see more. Those trees have already been identified, that's going to come down. And what the plan is, we're going to go back and resurface Main Street, that 18 feet of resurfaced asphalt. On how we're going to gain is that we're going to be adding 24 inches, 2 feet on each side, the east side and the west side of Main Street. Whereas right now, if you deviate, you're going to be thrown into the ditch. That's the way we're going to be widening. And we're hoping at some point down in the future, we're going to come back after all of this is settled in, a few years down the road. What we're hoping to do is come back and resurface where we've got at least a foot on each side. My point is, it's very difficult to come back in and try to widen these streets. We're basically stuck with that. And I agree with you. I have a dually. I can't even go down Center Street with meeting somebody. I have to basically pull over and stop and let the other vehicle go by. We can name street after street, and we can only do so much. But I agree with you, the streets are very narrow. We're gonna have to deal with that for a long, long time.
On Lake Forest, if you widen that, only way you can do is take people's yards.
Exactly.
And that-
That's it. But
Yeah.
if you widen it down our street, you're gonna be in my front door.
Yep. And that's a lot of the problem, like, because a lot of Mayflower was laid out like pig trails or
There's
something.
Maltese out there.
Exactly, or hold a horse and buggy.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
it.
of course that goes.
So widen some of
I'm
these.
being on a 4-day drunk.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that to be.
They were saying for
Well, facetiously, we didn't know, well, you know, sometimes, well, let me back up. What is the number one problem that we have in Mayflower?
God, there's so many of
Yeah,
them.
well, that was already in question. I should have said.
Too much business
But the
development.
fact of the matter is,
I think population is growing quicker than this city did.
well, the point is, we have a problem with land. You know, you've got the interstate, you've got 365, then you've got the railroad track, then you've got a piece of property that subdivisions and individual houses were built in terms of that. So it was, people were using what they had. And when they bought this property, it was deeded as a certain size piece of property, and they took advantage of that, whether it be one single residential housing or multiple, you know, that type of thing. So yes, we have a problem and the way things were laid out. The issue is, what do we do about it? We can't just, say, hey, we're gonna take an eraser and erase all these houses, come back in and replat everything. What we've tried to do is come back in, and people have come in and wanted to build, on very narrow lots. And we said, no, the one thing that we can regulate, we don't want smaller lots.
Right.
Because of the way it looks and density and so on and so forth. But the point is that we have passed an ordinance that you can't build anything less than a 50-foot width, lot. And that's to try to protect the integrity of our entire city, whether it be in your area or whatever. So we're between a rock and a hard place. We're trying to look at both sides of it. The water situation, that is, we can easily get a decision from Ben Batten, his group. I don't know if you know Ben Batten. Ben Batten is one of 3 of the deputy directors of the Arkansas Game and Fish. We can get their opinion on this type of thing.
They may have to give up something.
I'm sorry?
They may have to give up on this.
Well, we don't know. We're speculating as far as that goes. But your point and some of the others was, okay, this water now is going to be a concern of Arkansas Game and Fish. Well, let's let them take a look at it.
See, right now, it's a concern to me. It's running my shop. The back of my shop, where the slab is, it's on the slab.
Your shop?
Yes. On the back of it, been washed for so long, all you see is a 5x5.
It's already eroded?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, is
It's in
there?
front of it. You can't go in the shop.
But let me ask you this. Is that all on private land?
In mine, yes.
Okay, is that a natural drainage that?
It wasn't.
Jimmy put it in at.
Wasn't. I didn't have no problem until they put this 8 or 10 inch line drain.
Jimmy put it in at the direction of the mayor, and he asked him, he's like, hey,
Some other mayor?
yes.
That was you.
Yes, okay.
And he brought that up to Jimmy, he said, hey,
Well,
this is
well,
gonna.
let me say this. I believe that if the city has, in the past, has tried, evidently they were trying to solve some problem. But in doing so, we all can agree that sometimes what we think is best at one time creates problems down the road. I would like to get with Jimmy, get with you, and let's meet on your site and let's see what's going on. If there's natural drainage of that area that's carrying all of this runoff from that, and we have done something in the past that is a negative to your property, we need to figure out how we're going, or how we can transfer that stormwater into a point where it's not going to be detrimental to you or any other resident from that standpoint.
See, before they put that drain in here, it drained real slow.
Yes, sir.
It's supposed to.
Right.
They didn't go on my property, which is no big deal.
Right.
Then, of course, I got loads and loads of gravel, rock in there, SB2.
Yes, sir.
But that's much.
Well, but here's my point. I think we spent enough time on this. I am dedicated to meet with you and Jimmy. Let's go out there and take a look. Is there something that we can do to mitigate your problem, but yet enhance our stormwater runoff? Okay? So that's a side issue right now.
I got one more point.
Okay.
The point is.
Well, 1 second. But Barbara, would you mind making sure that we get his contact information so that we can call you and set up a time that we can go and
Yes, sir.
meet with you?
Okay, appreciate
In the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
The other point, sometimes there's wrecks on 89, sometimes they blow the transformer, which he does all the time, and sometimes somebody hits a phone pole, correct? Y'all all agree with that? Well, guess where they detour to? Right on Lake Forest Drive. Now, we've seen diesel trucks come down both ways, and that's a joke to watch. Then we saw big, I'm talking about monster trucks trying to make that turn off of Lake Forest and Crampton. They tear everything up.
Yeah.
We got our fence knocked down several times. We have to go and put the thing back up because that traffic, they still think it's Highway 89. And that road's not There you go back to it. It's not big enough for even 2 cars right now. So I think what everybody's trying to say is if you do put these duplexes in, it is gonna cause a traffic jam. There's no way it can't, because right now you can't get 2 cars down. But,
Sounds like my road. I live on Cross
Yeah,
Street. I'm the
yeah.
same way. You got to pull off to
right.
your house.
But my point is, if y'all agree on putting that in, which I hope you don't, if you do have another accident on 89, they gotta detour back to 89, that's gonna be a mess for sure. It's a mess anyway. But if you got all these people that are parking in there, it's really gonna be confusion. So that's my concern. Thank you a lot. Y'all have a good night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
We will get in contact with you and we'll meet and see what we can do for us. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
The current duplexes that were brought up,
Mhm.
they are going in and out on Highway 89. They're not going into Lake Forest or Crafton, just FYI. You have 42 signatures of people who lived in this community for decades. We all bought single-family properties. If you open the door with rezoning to multifamily properties, you're just opening the door to a much bigger problem. This is what, all of the signatures, we are concerned. And if you pass this, you're just basically slapping all of us in the face.
Could you do me a favor, and specify, when you say a bigger problem, are you using that just to encapsulate all the issues that have been brought forth today, or is there something else?
Potential of, Bill, I don't know if he's a friend of yours, I have no idea. Kevin Dillon.
Kevin Dillon.
Who owns all of the properties. He's spent, well, anyway, he owns, I think I saw, it was somewhere upwards of 70 properties. If you open the door to these properties being rezoned to multi, he's coming in and saying, I want these 70 plus properties rezoned. This is our concern.
That's the detail that we needed to hear.
This is a very concerning concern of ours. We have been finding multifamily properties in this area for over 18 years. I think it was 18 years ago, whenever he was trying to kind of get all his properties rezoned to R2. If you do that, you're opening the door, and I guarantee you he's gonna be right down there. I don't even giving him a month. You did these, let's do mine. That's what we're concerned about. We bought these properties because we were in a single family area. If you allow that, you're gonna have duplexes that the excess traffic, I mean, come on, face it. Every family has a minimum of 2 cars per family. It's more in line to 5 or 6 cars per family. So you're talking 16 to 40 cars.
You know I'm gonna say cite your source, right?
Huh?
You know I'm gonna say cite your source on the average amount of cars owned by a household in America. It's not 6.
Well, drive down our road and count the cars.
I
At
know,
various
but,
different
no, but
properties.
if you're going to predict something, you can only predict from data. You can't predict from anecdotal evidence. You're an analyst, you know that. I'm preaching to the choir right
I
now.
know, but when the evidence is slapping you in the face.
Well, but what I'm saying is the evidence is here when all the data is here. So we need a large data set. So I'm saying, yes, obviously, there's going to be more cars. You are 100% right. Whether it's 1 car. In fact, last Saturday, I sold my second car during COVID. Didn't need it. We both work from home. Why have 2 cars, 2 insurance, blah, blah, blah. We just bought another second car last Saturday. That's the first time we've had a second car in our household in 5 years. So, I mean, And we live in just a regular old single-family house. We've had one car for 5 years. So, I mean, it does happen.
I'm just gonna go back to, she had 42 signatures of everyone in our community that is trying to protect the integrity of our subdivision, of our community.
As,
Just like you're trying to protect the integrity of the city.
Yes, ma'am.
We're trying to do
We
the same thing
understand.
in our little area.
And that's what this forum is for both sides to come in. We as a city, the commissioners have a duty to try to look at bettering the community. And just like what you're talking about, you're bringing evidence to the contrary, what you want. There's got to be a happy medium there. I understand completely. And so my understanding is there's not going to be a decision rendered tonight, correct?
no, we planned on rendering a decision.
I'm sorry. I've been out of the hospital, so.
Yeah, no, we tabled it at the last meeting.
Okay.
So we could gather some more stuff, you get time for the petition and stuff to get done. But yeah, we do plan on
Okay, I'm sorry.
having a decision tonight.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Thank you. And thanks for the legwork on doing this stuff too, 'cause I know it's not easy going house to house when it's 105 degrees outside.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to apologize to you, I didn't mean to be loud. I just thought I don't hear so good anymore, but I certainly didn't mean to be disrespectful.
Well, you know what? It takes a big person to get up and say, my bad, I'm sorry, and I respect you for that, and I appreciate you.
I apologize.
Thank you.
I've got concerns, I think as that written petition will show you that the overwhelming people in the neighborhood oppose this project for whatever reasons they have.
Sure.
I've been in real estate most all my life, never a realtor, but I think it's ridiculous to say that a single-family home is gonna gain value by putting duplexes next to it. I think any real estate expert would tell you that. I've got other concerns that not come to immediately, but, and one is that, when are we gonna find out if there's enough land for this project by the rules?
That would happen when they start filing for permits. This is not, that is out of scope for this group. The only thing we're determining here is whether or not to rezone 2 properties. It doesn't have anything to do with permits, game and fish. That is all outside the scope of this body. So that would happen, if it was approved, that would happen after permits started being filed.
Okay? If you do decide to go ahead and go with this project and the land is not there for what he's wanting to do, what happens?
He would have to figure that out. He'd be the owner of land he couldn't build on. It'd be the same thing if I went to build a new garage on my property and Chris came and said, no, it's 10% over the limit. I wouldn't be able to build and I'd be staring at my big lot next to my house. It's empty. So I can't do nothing with it. So now I gotta figure out a new plan.
You have to remember, this is at a 10,000-foot level right now. To say, yes, you can go forward and do all the things that is going to be necessary for this board to approve the next step. Case in point, if that property is of a certain size, first of all, you gotta meet the setbacks on both sides, front, back, sides, so on and so forth. Second of all, stormwater is a big concern. What is going to happen with stormwater? And you can't just, we're not looking for like an individual like me, even though I've got an engineering degree, I do not have the expertise that I can submit. Here's the study of the rainwater runoff. That is a huge concern for the city of Mayflower. So my point is, what you're asking, just because, let's just say, hypothetically, it is approved for him to go forward and see if all these pieces of the puzzle is going to fit in this, from parking to the rainwater runoff, setbacks, and so on and so forth. Okay, if those are not met, it's not approved. he or she cannot do anything going forward, okay?
That's one of my biggest concerns is there's not enough property there. to
Yes.
do what he
It
proposed.
would have to be drawn off from a licensed, engineering group or, architect group that's got a stamp that says, hey, we know what we're doing, we're certified, and that is what would have to be brought to the commission in order to go forward. If it does not fit, and with all of the particulars that we're talking about, he can't do that. He can't do that. So but that's not just on this property. Pardon me, that's on anything. That's on any piece of property that we're looking at.
I moved here 27 years ago, little tiny place,
Yes, sir.
420 square feet.
Yes, sir.
And I was always planning on adding on to it until I figured out that it's not straight with the lot, it's a little bit caught. And there's really not enough room by the setback to do anything.
And that-
from the,
Sometimes that's what we fall into. But again, your question was, what happens if, again, I don't know what how the vote is going to be, but if they vote for him, and again, it's only to let him go to the next step. All of this, he's got to come in and get an application, to go through all of this. Then he's got to come back before the planning commission to make sure that all of this is, documented, showing how it's going to be in terms of that. Again, I don't know if it's going to be approved or not, but I'm speaking of anybody within the city's limits has to follow that process. Where in the past, we didn't, it's my understanding, there was not a planning commission that was, and had the authority. Well, now we do. We're trying to do things better for everyone and not show partiality in terms of just because you live on this side of the railroad track, oh yeah, we're gonna give you whatever you want. But on the other side, we've got a different set of rules. No, we want to be fair, and that's why you gotta have a site plan. You've got to make sure that the setbacks are in. Chris Matthews is our zoning officer, and he's the one that goes out and makes sure that all of this is, it's not just hearsay. It's not just, okay, well, you know, he said that it's going to be okay. It's verified, whereas in the past it wasn't. So I hope that kind of addresses your concerns on that. We want to do the right thing, and we want to be fair.
I think it would be fair to the neighborhood and its residents not to allow this. The vast majority of residents are opposed.
Yes, and that's the commission, you supply that documentation, and they'll take that into consideration. But what I'm speaking of is the process itself. There is a process in place that we're wanting to follow, and we're not trying to penalize anyone. I will tell you this, we have a need for, apartments for people to rent. That doesn't mitigate, that's why we want this to happen. If it's not in the right place and so on and so forth, then that. But there are people constantly calling me, is there any place that we can rent? Any place we can rent, you know, within Mayflower? I can tell you at Vineyard 2, we're looking at, a couple hundred homes, new homes, directly down Center Street. I don't know if you've heard about that. Center Ridge, there's 70-some odd acres in there. They've already come to us and they've already sold that, and that's going to be, Chris, how many homes, is going to be, projected in Center Ridge?
236.
236 homes. If you go out to Vineyard, every one of the houses that is on that first street is already pre-sold. They're
Are you
selling,
not building apartments out there?
no. But what I'm getting at is, there is a need for housing in Mayflower. You're right, that's not, I'm just saying, people are looking to come into Mayflower. So, yes, I understand your situation. All I was trying to do is not say that's, you know, there's going to be duplexes or anything out there. I'm just saying, we're getting calls all the time. Is there any place that we can build? We are not wanting multi apartment complexes. per se, apartment complexes. We would prefer to see duplexes as opposed to.
Well, that's what I'm saying, why not build duplexes out there instead of single-family homes?
It would be
All
a,
of the developer.
Yeah,
We have
developer choice.
we have no control of that. People think that the city mandates what you can build wherever. If you got a piece of property, somebody came in and purchased that property and had an engineering and architect group said, this is what we would like to build, came to the city and said, you know, this is what we're looking at. They didn't come in and say, we want to build duplexes here. No, you see what I'm saying? We can't, we're not the owners of that property. So,
Well, see, this is what our concern is. You allow duplexes in here, then who's gonna stop building from coming in and doing this multi-zoning and then putting in more duplexes, apartments, whatever? You're talking about turning our little landlocked area into multifamily units.
well, right now, I'm not speculating what the Dillons or whoever
No,
owns
but-
that property. We're speculating right now on this.
But I'm saying, you
Right.
open the door for that,
Yes.
just like, well, go there, but the door does not need to be open.
Yes, ma'am. And that's your position, and that everybody, there's two sides here, so, but again, I just wanted to make sure that you understood there is a process that has to be followed. There's not going, just because if they vote, no or yes tonight, that you're gonna change everything. You can circumvent that process, okay? That would have to be followed, no matter who it is or what they want it to be, okay? All right, I'm sorry, I'll take it too much.
No, you're fine, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you for your time.
I think Barbara has one thing to say, and then I'm gonna,
Mr. Valmes, one thing I was gonna tell you, when the Webbs came into the office to get the information for filing for rezone, and I found out what they were wanting to rezone, I gave them the criteria for the, yes. So if, when you asked, would there be enough room, they had that
I
information.
think it's supposed to be 8/10 of an acre for what he's proposing, and I don't believe it's there.
Yes, I did give that to him. I wanted to tell you that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, we've spent 90 minutes, on one of 5, items on the agenda for tonight, so we're gonna go ahead and, take a vote on the rezoning request of 7 Crafton and 52 Lake Forest, from, R1 to R2 multi-family units. It's not on the we're not talking about project going forward, we're not permitting, we're not doing any of that. We have 2 lots that are requested to be rezoned. Any questions from the commissioners before we take a vote? No? Barbara, will you call, a roll vote, please?
Do we want a motion in a second?
Yeah.
Or do you just want a roll call?
No, we need a motion, say a motion for a vote, to vote on rezoning these 2 lots. Motion?
You make the,
that motion.
Second.
okay, who made the motion?
Chad.
Chad, so you made a motion to rezone?
Yes,
That's the request to rezone.
that's the request. to rezone.
Right. And Kent seconded, okay.
Yes.
Rusty Waters?
Yes.
Yes, okay, for the rezone?
Yes.
Okay. Randy Holman?
No.
Chad Patterson?
No.
Kent Brown?
No.
Thank you, commissioners. And with a vote of 3-1, the request is denied. You do, of course, Mr. and Ms. Webb, you do have the option to appeal it to the city council, because they're the final say. So, but we do appreciate, everyone's effort, because I know everyone here is putting in a lot of energy over the last month and a half in doing this. Yeah, so with that, I thank you for your time, efforts, and if you do wish to appeal to the city council, just get with Barbara so we can get on the agenda.
Thank you for your time, Mayor. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you all.
I appreciate you, Wes. Thank you. Um, Commissioner, are you good to go, or you need a 5-minute break? Good. Good, okay. Okay, Chris, you're up. Approve the rezoning.
This was more of an agenda item, this was not, or, for the workshop. Not
Okay.
necessarily for the night, so.
Okay.
We're not doing any formal presentation on that, it's just for discussion.
All right, great. Then we'll go ahead and remove that, and with that, we will exit the zoning board. And we will go back to normal business. Next up is the replat of Family Market. Do we have a representative? Yes, sir. Come on up to the mic.
And I apologize to you for putting, I didn't realize that was gonna take so long, or I would have put you that far down on the agenda.
It's fine. Dylan Somerville, Philip Lewis Engineering, this matter on behalf of Family Market LLC. Just a quick summary for anyone that needs it. Initially, we platted this, property that the Family Market currently sits on, it's operational, into 2 lots, lot 1, lot 2. Found that the Welcome to Mayflower sign is currently on that back corner. And so essentially we're just pushing through a replat to dedicate that back to the city, where the current sign is. So not really change anything, just put the sign, stay there, dedicate it back. So pretty much all that I have. I do have a full size 11 by 17 here with me if you guys need to look at that or anything like that.
Barbara shared some.
I think I brought, if you wanna look at this to make sure I brought the right one for him.
And I want to point out, I think this is demonstrative of the good neighbor that Family Market is, and that they own that land. They should go demolish our sign. It was sold to them.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Initially, when I first started
If you need those.
working with Family Market,
Right.
Andrew, that's their,
This one's a little, maybe a little
architect.
different.
We dropped it off
That
last
came
week.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in terms of that property
That's the initial one,
being,
and that's.
there was speculation at that time, that the previous owner
No, I don't.
for the, restaurant, that was part of their property.
Right.
And that, there was a lot of discussion, she said, over the years, she was even paying taxes on that. And I, you know, she was aggravated with the city, and I asked her, well, why didn't we work this out with the city back then? There was years that had gone by. And she said it just wasn't, she never got into it. So the point is, Robert had made the commitment back when we first started talking about that project. He said, we will not undermine the city whatsoever with your sign.
Yeah.
We will probably get to the point where we don't want the sign, where we would not do anything with the sign. We're talking about the footprint, it's not the sign, it's the property itself. And so there was a commitment early on that I couldn't talk about because of all the things that was going on, you know, trying to get the property. But he had made that commitment long ago that the brother said, no, we have no desire of taking that sign back. But I'm piggybacking on what you said. The Family Market individuals are first-class people.
Absolutely.
And they wanted to make sure that our sign, they knew the history that Barbara went through, the fundraising and so on and so forth. They knew all of this, and that just adds, you know, speaks tons for their credibility, and we really appreciate that.
Absolutely. And that's why I wanted to point that out on the record.
Yes,
That they are good partners, they are good neighbors, and they are looking out for our sign.
Yes. So the question is, how much of that sign are we talking about? There is a metal fence that goes all the way around.
I'd have to check the plan, real quick, back, I'll tell you. We have it replatted out with, you know, dimensions, northern, east, and all that. Yeah.
I think Barbara said it's like 0.21 acres or something.
This has already been surveyed out?
I believe so, yeah, so, you know, we couldn't submit anything without surveying, so,
Okay.
I believe that it's surveyed and, you know, has legal north and east.
Okay, well-
like that.
Within this transaction, it has to be surveyed, and then there would be, survey stakes at where your main property meets that side property. So when that is surveyed, if you could let us know.
Okay.
Well, we could go out and take photos and
Okay.
stuff like that.
I would have to check to see if it has been done, but we should be able to do that pretty quick if it hasn't. I guess my question is, if everything's approved, say it is surveyed, would we have to wait for another meeting to get that, signed off on, or would we be able to call you and say, hey, it's surveyed, you've taken pictures, can we get that?
Third option.
Well-
Signed copy back?
In order for it to be filed within the courthouse, there has to be a legal description of this piece of property that you're deeding back to us.
Okay.
So it has to be surveyed, that's why I was asking.
Okay. I see that
I
plan.
Is that on there? I think that legal description's on there, is it not?
It is.
It
There's
is,
a legal
yes.
description on it.
Yes,
It's already been surveyed.
yes, there
Yes,
is.
okay. That's what you would have to have in order to
Yes.
file for that. So,
Yeah, we,
So we're
we dropped
trying
the
to-
copies off to
Yes.
the office the other day, I'm not sure if that's what we're looking at. But, if I get with, my boss Garrett tomorrow.
Yes.
Everything's good there, and, will we be able to call y'all and you guys, certify and sign it? We can figure it out. Is that
Well,
something we can do?
What we'll do is we'll take a vote tonight to conditionally approve.
Okay.
That way you don't have to keep coming back and stuff.
Okay.
You just get to work and
Okay.
do whatever you need to do.
Okay.
And then you just call up here and either talk to the mayor or talk to Barbara.
Okay.
And say, yep, if this is what we've done, we met our requirements, and then you'll be good to go.
Okay.
My question to you, after the dedication, do we need to record that? Does there need to be a deed or something so that it is legally over to the city?
My answer to that is I'm not quite sure. I don't want to have to retract a statement, so I'll need to, ask the boss about it. I do know there was some issue initially with not being able to find, you know, a dedication for the past of where the sign was. So, I'm sure there needs to be some kind of record, but exactly what that is,
why don't we get Dustin involved?
I started saying maybe that would be,
Dustin is our city, attorney.
okay.
So let's give him a call, Barbara, tomorrow, given the information. There has to be going forward some recorded documentation that we don't get back into this situation.
right,
Right.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Again,
I don't have it.
I'm excited about that. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to conditionally approve the replat pending the verification of the survey?
Motion to approve, or motion to approve.
And Rusty seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, sir.
And if you could leave those with me, I will most definitely follow up.
We got plenty.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next on the agenda is fence application, 43 Miller Street. Any representative for that? Okay, so moving on.
They're not.
Nope.
I spoke with the guy today. He was gonna be here at 6:30 for the fence.
Yeah,
No?
maybe something came up. I don't know.
Okay.
Hope it's all right. All right, then the last item is Maverick, signs and variances. You've probably never been happier to hear the word Maverick.
Good to see all of you. I know I bring handouts. I never have black items to bring, so I'm gonna go ahead and hand them out.
See, he didn't bring candy. He didn't bring candy.
No, no candy, just paper.
Do that and pull it up on the screen if you want to.
Good, good, that would be helpful.
Do you have an extra one of those, or is that good? Okay. I printed it off, but it looks like yours are on bigger piece.
Share loans. And this is so the cover sheet, you see it's right here, has the strategic index for the full set of construction documents that have been submitted, but the packet in front of you is condensed site plan, landscape, items like that. Oh, yeah, for sure. Thank you. Yep.
So what are the specific variances that you're, and I will say that, I'll preface this with, this whole area wasn't even initially thought about to have a fuel station. So we knew coming into this, when we approved this, that we would be getting variance requests. So this is not unexpected, it's not unannounced, it's not a surprise to the city. So before anyone rages about that or goes off, we knew that variance requests were going to be coming in because that area was initially not envisioned to support this type of development. So, with that said.
Yep. Yeah, so kind of like I mentioned, when I was walking up, I was back here to March, we looked at the site plan the first time around. Passing through all the intricacies of the site and everything like that.
Just
We did take a vote, it was approved at that time. The site plan that's in front of you, nothing has changed. I mean, outside of some signage, applications that have since been submitted and we're talking about tonight. But I've got a list now that city staff has kind of been able to take a look at our plans in a little more detail. They provided some commentary that, Chris and the mayor have been very helpful and some back and forth with. I can kind of go down the list of the variance requests that we're talking about tonight. The first one would revolve around the build to zone requirement. The code currently states that 10 to 75 foot build to requirement is placed on this site being within the Mayflower overlay district or heart of Mayflower overlay district. So when this whole thing kind of kicked off last year, there was discussion about a moratorium in place. And Matt was kind of bending out their site planning from its original concept. So what you have in front of you is more of a typical site layout that you would see at most generally any gas station outside of these build-to zones or something I typically see in a center city or downtown district area for the most part. But so the variance request is to essentially forgo that requirement and kind of stick with the plan that's in front of you. There are some dimensions on the plan that kind of deliver building. It's roughly 160 foot off the property line. And we've got the, typical vehicle, passenger vehicle canopy out in front of that, as well as parking, those items like that. Again, nothing has changed from what you saw back in March. So that's variance to one. I'm not sure if you want to run through one at a time.
Yeah, let's do one at a time, so any questions can be asked, we can address them, or that way we don't get kind of lost in the weeds.
Yeah.
Commissioners, do you have any questions?
No question.
Any public comment on that variance request? Okay. Well, so that we don't forget what these are, let's take them one at a time. Can I get a motion on the request to grant a variance for the 160 so feet to the front of the building instead of the 10 to 75?
Motion.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? One down.
I want to skip ahead to the offsite signage since we do have the slide up on the big projector here. So here's just a vicinity map of essentially what the site's going to land in relation to the Lake Conway project. As you can tell, the red crosshatch is approximately the Maverick site. And then about 1,000 feet southwest, which will, I've got the label on the plan there. Maverick is proposing to install a taller interstate high-rise sign, which has also been in front of the commission here and approved previously. I think were some clarifications that need to be provided, about the permanent location of that sign. After some legwork by Maverick, they went out to the site, stuck a boom up in the air, 120 foot, 125 foot, and kind of determined where the best placement on the site is going to occur for visibility along the interstate there. This is a good snapshot. It's kind of tough to tell, but they did put some dimensions on the plan here. I mean, to be able to give those drivers along the interstate enough time to make the choice to take that exit. You know, the placement of the sign paired with the 120 foot height is pretty well what it's going to end up looking like on the screen there. So it's still pretty tough to tell getting in above those trees. But I mean, that's kind of the issue that we're wanting to talk about. I know it does not occur on the Maverick's principal site, but it still sits within that private development, and Maverick and the Ashley Group do have a lease agreement in place, so Maverick would have the legal rights to the area to be able to maintain that sign. I know there's been discussions about billboards really being classified as billboard, so I just wanted, I mean, there's images in your packet as well to kind of display what the sign will end up looking like. Hopefully, it can clearly dictate that we don't want to label it as a billboard. So with those facts being thrown out there, that's the next item.
So you just wanting to move it down a little south of like Clayton, but
Yeah, it would happen. 15 feet by Clayton Homes property, around the south side of that. And really, that location pulls us about, I think it's roughly 250 to 300 feet closer to the interstate, which definitely helps with the visibility as you're driving along and being able to make sure there's that last second decision to be able to take that exit, to come visit the site. So.
I think one of the major concerns was the fact that our code doesn't allow for a business to have a sign off their property. However, you and the Ashleys have now come to an agreement where you've leased that one, so it is now an extension of your business and your property where you've leased. So I believe me, that problem or sticking point has been resolved. You've leased it from the Ashleys, and they gave you permission to put up a sign.
Also, the last two pages of that handout shows the sign.
Okay. I personally, I would never think of classifying a fuel station sign as a billboard, unless I'm totally off base here. I wouldn't look at this and say, oh, wow, that's a Maverick billboard.
So,
Anyone have a different take on that?
That's all this gas, fuel stations.
Right, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Just on a large scale.
Right.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. I don't think anyone here is looking to classify that as a billboard.
Yeah, I just know there was we were definitely trying to work through the code with staff and everything to try to figure out the final determination. Yeah. We just wanted to get clarity.
Is this the original size sign that's gonna be moved 50 feet south of the Clayton Home property? Is that what I'm hearing?
Roughly 15 feet south of Clayton Homes. It's actually from what was approved previously, it's 5 foot shorter. And the square footage didn't change.
So the sign's still the same size, it's just not as tall. It's 5 foot short.
Correct.
Do we remember what
What-
size?
I don't remember what.
Do we remember?
It was 125 feet tall.
Yeah, the original approval, back in this.
Yeah.
125 feet tall.
1.5.
Up to
Yeah.
125 feet in height.
Yeah, but it's gonna be, this one's
Up
gonna be
to
120.
125 feet in height.
Up to.
Up to.
That's what was approved in December.
So they're coming in 5 feet below what was approved.
So this is gonna be 120
Yes.
feet?
Yes. Same square footage, but shorter than what they could go with.
And it's just gonna be further down. Am I hearing right?
It's about 1,000 foot southwest of the Matter State.
One more thing before we move on. On the first, I'm sorry. I'm the one's gonna have to do this. Okay, the build-to zone, where did you get your numbers?
On the front of their plan.
Okay, so
There-
tell me again what that was.
So, the request was to move, for variance to, exceed the 75-foot maximum, depth from the road to the front of your building. They are at approximately 161 feet. Yes, sir.
James, let me ask you a clarifying question.
Yes.
What is the distance from the property line or the fence of Clayton Homes down to this sign?
I think what was discussed before was about 50 feet. 50 feet, okay.
It was 50 feet. On our conference call, they said somewhere between 50 and 75 feet, so we know that it's 50 feet.
At least 50, maybe 55, but it's supposedly at least, we're gonna leave room for a road, future road.
Yeah, yeah.
So 50, I'd say the total is 50.
It's somewhere between 50 and 75 feet, based on the conference call.
And to clarify, it's standard, well, all private development.
Yeah.
Private property.
Yes.
Okay. So, any questions from commissioners? Any questions from public?
Is there anything on the current ordinance as far as elimination of light pollution from those flashing numbers per se that, well, there's not many residents down that road, but is that gonna be up that high, right?
I've not read anything that we've codified that says anything about light pollution.
The display won't be flashing, it'll be consistent.
The numbers change, I'm not worried about the
Oh, yeah.
flashes, but just worried about the elimination of light pollution, 'cause if you can see it a mile down the freeway, then the homes in the area are surely gonna see that light.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't
Design
think so.
companies would take that into account. I mean, it's hard to shield a sign like that from the interstate. It does have to be visible, give those drivers the time. But we would make every effort to capture those requirements if that were.
I would think that, I could be wrong, but it wouldn't cause any more light pollution than the billboard does across the interstate, and it's roughly the same height. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I don't know that I mean, you're talking 120 feet in the air, so.
Well, we have to remember also, this sign is, basically to help the traffic, identify there is a fuel station up ahead.
There's a place for us to spend money.
And that's my point. That's my point.
Well, it's a backlit sign.
Yeah.
The light comes from the back of the sign, so it's not a bright sign. It's not something that it'll light up.
Thank you, I forgot, you've got a lot of experience with that. But my point is, what we have to remember too is we want people to identify there is a facility that they can get off the highway, hopefully, and what these signs are for, I know when I travel, I will look, if I see a pilot sign or a Flying J sign or something down the road, that's what I'm looking for. So that, and most of the time, it's so far down the road, I have adequate time safely to move over and to exit.
Yeah.
That's what we're wanting, as far as safety goes and the visibility that people are going to see this, and hopefully they're gonna make a determination. So it's easy off, easy on. We're gonna stop.
Bright,
fuel and
bright,
buy
clean.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good food, yeah, good place to stop.
right.
Okay, so on, variance 2, can I get a motion to approve, the variance for, moving their sign, down to the other side of Clayton Homes, still on the property that they're leasing from the Ashlands?
I'll make the motion.
To approve?
I approve it.
Take, second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, 2 for 2, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, Mayor.
Because of I believe instead of just a up and down vote, you would want to go ahead and have a roll call vote.
Roll call. You can do that.
Just to make sure that from a legal standpoint.
Okay, you can do that. Barbara, will you call roll, please?
Rusty Waters,
Yeah.
Randy Holman,
Yeah.
Chad Patterson,
Yes.
Kent Brown.
Yes.
So, Commissioners?
Do we know how many feet we're moving the sign?
About approximately 1,000 feet, and it'll be 50 feet outside of Clayton's property.
So to kind of cover our decision for that, since they own that property where Maverick is, do we need a lease agreement on file for us to have to make sure that we follow the rules that that's their property? I mean, on a legal standpoint?
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I don't know.
No, that's a great point, Rusty. That's a great point.
Rusty, that's a good point. We would need some kind of documentation that shows, even though it's on your same development, we would need something to show of this decision.
Just for Maverick to have that people
Yeah.
follow for that sign.
Right.
Just for our purpose.
Yeah, that way it's part of the public record. You
Yes.
don't have to worry about anyone. Yep.
And that's a
Very good,
point.
very good catch.
That's a great point.
Yep, very good. Okay. And next point.
I'll jump backwards to the on-site sign count, which is also in the packet. I believe that might be staged. It'll be a 35-foot, from what they would call a flagpole style sign, or maybe second class stage. I think originally, the question again, was our first bill. Now the variance ask will be for a 35-foot sign nearest our northernmost driveway to essentially a lot of the same reasons with the interstate sign, but this is to capture the traffic along interstate drive there and give them plenty of time to make those decisions to get over in a turning lane, which is another aspect of the discussion with the DOT, proper road widening, to give drivers that good time to make that decision if they want to enter that northernmost driveway, or at least identify how close they're coming up to the site. I mean, we're not the first user in or the second, but right now, we're the closest to the intersection. So, you turn off, and it's kind of tough to tell if you kind of stick with a 6-foot tall monument sign. You have to kind of get right up on that, especially when, you make plans to landscape the site. You can kind of sometimes get lost in that. I mean, visibility is something that, sign visibility is huge for Maverick. So they're always going to push for something like this to help identify the site as quick as they can. And to give basically the drivers the option of, what's available on the site, and maybe some of the amenities on the site, specifically the visual has a cat scale, letting the truck drivers know that, where they need to enter the site correctly to maneuver, and make those movements in and out. And for, I think the original request, we were stuck with a 6-foot monument, and this would be the fulfillment for that. I have had some side conversations with Brandon Arnold, and Waterworks, kind of talking about, the constructability of this sign. There is an easement along the frontage of our property where the sign, the foundation of the sign would be placed within partially. There was a new water main installed, so that was kind of the topic of those conversations. But with this specific sign, we can kind of reduce the footprint of the foundation, aside from the monument sign that would be typically required. So there's that aspect kind of worked out for him, and then he didn't have any additional concerns once I had to make that phone call to him. So
Let me ask you this on this one. I think most folks that come down Interstate Drive, like Randy lives down there, they're locals, and they're gonna know you're there. When I go to Family Market, I know it's there. I don't have to look for their sign. Would Maverick be amenable to keeping the monument sign or the 6-foot sign for this particular request? Do you know if they would be amenable to that?
I mean, they're always gonna push for bigger, signage is branding is the major aspect for them. So this is what they want to be with, for sure. I do think there are some benefits to being able to install a sign like this from a site visibility on the driveways. I mean, I know we're only talking about a 6 foot tall monument sign, but with kind of limited frontage that we're working with between the property line where you need to pull up the driveway, we've got stop bars with, you know, directional arrows, which way to go, which lane to pull into. You're kind of in line with that. So this kind of pulls that out of that visual as well. And then again, be able to help, I mean, truck traffic is something that we're trying to get from the site. Obviously, if you're gonna get them off the interstate, it's all signs. Looking to define the site adequately as well. I mean, this is something that helps them identify it all as quick, I'd say. So.
Okay. Questions from commissioners?
So we went from a 6 foot to a 35 feet. Is that right?
Yeah, and I do want to add, so we, the on-site signage, this would be the only on-site sign at this point. Aside from some directional signage at the driveways.
Right, so I guess what I'm saying is, why did we pick 35 feet? Why didn't it go to 25 feet? Is that?
So that's a, Maverick has an internal team that they pour a bunch of efforts into their signage and their branding, and this is where they made it.
And the 35 feet is roughly what Family Market sign is.
Yeah.
And several other, and I think we agreed that, when we were going through the unified ordinance, that was going to be roughly the height of signs that we would want. I can't remember the exact.
Roughly around there, but again, that's a model code we've not adopted.
Right.
But the one piece I would remind that everybody here is that our overlay district prohibits these in any zone for any reason. Just putting that out there. That's not saying we've already given the variance once. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just making sure y'all aware of what the overlay district requires. That pole signs, flag signs are not described and they're not allowed. So monument signs are, which is what was originally on the plan. So, but y'all have granted a variance before, which I'm just putting that out there.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve the variance to move from the monument sign to a 35 foot sign? Sorry, misspoke.
Motion to approve.
Motion. Thank you, Kent. Second.
Second.
Thank you, West. Barbara, will you take a roll call vote, please?
Rusty Waters,
Yes.
Randy Holman,
Yes.
Chad Patterson,
Yes.
Kent Brown.
Yes.
Okay. Variance granted.
I've got one more, I was talking about the waffle signage. So now I think the last page, and in your packet, will be the wayfinding signage. Which will be 2 signs, one located at each driveway, just basically, you know, traffic, pedestrian vehicles, you know, kind of telling where to go around the site. This item just possibly look clean, listed in the code, or it wasn't necessarily allowed in the overlay district, so that's why it's on the variance list as well. Just wanted to get this in front of you. I believe the signs, I've got it written down here.
So these are 4 feet plus the base 2.
It's 4 feet.
It'd be 12 feet total height
2
and then 3 foot width.
Okay. That's not.
And these are like in the entrance when you're pulling in?
Yep, and you would have, so obviously, the main flow of the traffic on this one is, truck traffic is gonna hopefully be pushed completely to the southernmost driveway, so they can circulate the site in the Catskill, go through the pumps, and then exit out the northern drive. So that's where the trucks and RVs, you'll see will be closer to the southern drive, and then the autos will be placed at that northern entrance. I mean, they have the ability to come in full still, we're not trying to limit physical autos, and then, but a big piece of it is to help separate that traffic as best as we can.
These look like pretty standard signs that I see in any gas station that doesn't want semis running over cars.
Again, it's the same deal.
I mean, it's a necessity.
Yeah, safety issue.
It's just, point of clarification, is our code falls silent on this. And our ordinance describes the signs that are allowed. And so these fall silent, it's not mentioned, therefore a variance is required. So anything that's not, specifically listed in our code is by default not allowed.
And this has to do with not only directional, situation, but safety in that facility.
Yeah, that's what Rusty was just saying, that it's a big safety thing. You don't have semis running over cars, which happens.
A large campus nowadays.
Absolutely.
There's large.
Exactly.
Absolutely they are.
I know I've got a 40-foot,
Big
camper,
one, yeah.
and that's exactly what I'm looking for. And a lot of places don't have that. So I was glad to see that, they're also specifying trucks and RVs to help.
We do, yeah. The RVs is included, we do have an RV dock back to the side as well, so that's what you see that.
Any other questions from the commissioners or public?
No questions.
So can I get a motion for the fourth variance to be able to install these directional signs at the entry and exit points of Maverick?
I make the motion.
Chad motion, second.
Second.
Second, right? Thank you, sir. Barbara, when you're done describing, call vote. Don't want to put any pressure on you. Come on, Barbara.
Rusty Waters,
Yes.
Randy Holman,
Yes.
Chad Patterson,
Yes.
Kent Brown.
Yes.
Variance granted, all four of them.
Appreciate Commissioner for taking the time to hear all this. I will say there are additional items that staff provided that they're working with them to address as well as with our next week's submittal.
Sure, absolutely. And we appreciate all the data. That helps us really be able to.
See where it's like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, one thing to get a picture.
Yeah, no, we like it. I like pictures.
Yeah. Okay, so one quick question.
Yes, sir.
We're constantly getting questions, and I know the council is too. Once this is approved, the final approval, what is the timeline in terms of before we start seeing some activity?
So I'll start with, so there is some side coordination with the DOT as well.
Yes.
That is
That's
taking
for the
place.
widening?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so potentially trying to widen Interstate Drive there. I think the rough number I want to say now is 12 feet, essentially at a turning lane for the most part. So.
And we want to, let me interrupt, we want to make sure that we're on public record that states they alone came to us and said, hey, we would like to, where our footprint is that we're purchasing from the Ashleys in that development, they want to widen, put a third lane all the way from Highway 89, where you turn in from 89 onto Interstate Drive, all the way up past their southernmost entrance going into their facility. That is going to be a huge asset for us. That will not be any expense to the city. I just want to make sure that that is out, and that's a coordination with RDOT in terms of that we have to install. There's room there.
Yeah.
There's plenty of RDOT right-of-way room. It's just a matter of getting that through the red tape.
Yeah, it matters. They're responsible for, the added stress.
I just wanted to
on
make
that
sure.
roadway, so they know what their responsibility should be with this. And that's just the conversation we have ongoing with DOT right now. So I don't want to say they're early on. It's just trying to basically get us all on one road and hash it out, and get our full direction. Because we'll have to go through a full design process. DOT will have to review and approve the plans. And then at that point, we'll be ready to move forward with construction.
Probably the same steps Maverick has gone through dozens of times with DOTs across states.
Yep, correct.
So business as usual for you guys.
Yep.
I just wanted to make sure that we have that public, that's a huge asset.
Absolutely.
For the
We're
city.
getting the road widened, and we don't have, we're not paying for it.
Yeah. I know, ideally, it would be in 2025 build start.
Yes.
At this point, with the timeline with the DOT, kind of where we're at here already, it could potentially slide into 2026.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
and then, added some additional photos to this. to the presentation, just for some site, I know there's some site planning aspects that were brought up by the staff. And I didn't find a good one at the driveway, we just tried to show, what the site would look like at night with the downlighting. I think this was a recently opened project in Nebraska.
I was about to ask if that was existing or if that was a created rendering of what this one may look. So that's an existing facility.
Yes.
I gotta say, I went out west a couple months ago and I passed these Mavericks and they'd be right next to like a massive truck stop. There'd be like 50, 80 trucks over at these truck stops and you go in the Maverick. I went into Maverick. I was like, let me go into these things. And I went in, they're all clean and laid out well. There's not 8,000 trucks in the parking lot, so it was like, you could do both. You had all the diesel and all the trucks, but they were in and out and all the cars were in. It was nice. Then you see some other ones that are loaded down with semis and it's like.
And that's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. We need to bring this up again for the public consumption, is that this is not, we early on, we call this a truck stop. By definition, it is not a truck stop. A truck stop is going to have bathroom facilities in terms of showers, laundering, and so on and so forth. This will not have that. Also, a truck stop, you have a mega area that trucks are allowed to park and refuel or whatever, park overnight. That's where a lot of
problems
occur. That is not available. I think there's like 6 to 8 that is proposed for long-term parking back in the back, but there is adequate property that when the truck comes in, an 18-wheeler or a large camper or whatever, that they can go in, pull in, fuel up, then pull on up and go to the side, park, and come back in and get whatever they need. Whether it's going to be food, drink, whatever. So it's not going to be a hub where it's just going to be 18-wheelers all over the place. I just want to make sure that we get that out because there's still, people think it's going to be a truck stop.
Right.
And
There's no trucks that's going to be staying overnight.
No, that's not promoted though.
There's only 2 actual 18-wheeler spots and they're denoted for 30 minutes max.
It's gonna be.
That was by design.
They go to pedestrians and placing no parking signage, I want to say every 50 foot along the curb, along the back end of the property.
Remember, early on, there was a lot of controversy or a lot of comments. Oh, well, we don't want the crime and the problems that occur. That's why I want to make sure that we start communicating. This is not a true truck stop. It is a fuel facility.
Yeah, that's not every place we go.
Yes, I want to make sure that we start communicating that.
Yeah, it's gonna be like gas, grub, and go. We're gonna widen our road, and they're not gonna have all this it's not gonna be like where you pull in the back shell in Morgan. That's not what we're attempting to do here.
No.
Yeah.
There's a lot of thought that went into that, to decide that they didn't want that. So that benefits us as a community.
Yeah, the city didn't have to go to them and tell them we don't want it. They came, that was already in their plan, that's not their business model. You travel out west, you don't see a Maverick with 100 trucks parked behind it. That's not their business model. Gas, grub, and go.
But when it all first came out, we were thinking.
Yes, and we heard the concept because we were, communicating a truck stop is coming to the east side. And then we got closer into it and we found out, oh, it's not really a per se truck stop. I see there was something else that I was wanting to bring up. Maverick this past, August, a year ago, bought out Come and Go.
Oh, really?
Yes. If you go to any of the Come and Goes in Conway, sometimes you'll see the people that are working behind the counter, I've experienced it in a couple of them, will have a different, like a doctor, and it will say Maverick. And so I asked one of the ladies that was working there, well, what's Maverick? That is a shirt you picked up, and she said, oh, no, and she was explaining to it. So you're going to start seeing the come and goes being changed over in signage and this type of thing to Maverick. Okay, so Maverick is huge out on the west coast, and it's coming this way. So just while we were trying to get public information, I wanted to mention that as well.
So it's important to know that while the Maverick footprint will be new here, Maverick as a business, as a company, isn't new. They've owned Come and Go now for a couple years. We all love Come and Go. We all go to Come and Go. They're big, they're clean, they're quick in and out. So it's the same company, the same group of people who run those good businesses that also own Maverick. So.
This is truly going to be an asset for Mayflower.
Yep, I totally agree.
Do you know anything about the food service that's listed there, the grill?
So yeah, they're inside the grill is called Bonfire Grill. So they do have some hot and ready items that you can just quick grab and go. I mean, I had a burrito on my way down here actually, so. But they do have some, order options as well that you can place your order, short wait, then it's ready to go for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, kind of the typical stuff, pizza, sandwiches, burritos.
Jason, when you come back down here, we appreciate you buying something from Mayflower. Until Mayflower gets up and running.
Or if you don't bring us all something.
Yeah.
Find a microwave.
Sure. You probably have a 3-phase microwave, double.
Hey, whatever, we've already, Entergy's already got a 3-phase.
Lots
facility
here.
going right in front of the store.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're ready.
All right.
I didn't
what?
mention that.
Oh, okay, Barbara.
Okay, on this one where it shows the future for the 6 stalls, that's not overnight parking either, correct?
It's not intended to be, they'll still sign it as not permanent parking. That is more or less an overflow situation. If those occurrences do start to happen, they don't want the trucks pulling and staying along the curb or somebody's trying to get by. They want those trucks, if it does become an issue, to be able to have a dedicated space and get them out of the way. And again, I have 5 or 6 spaces. I mean, it is kind of conceptual at this point. It's just a rough stab at what it could potentially be. It could be less than the 6.
And that's not going to be, built initially. That's going to be on down the road. So initially, you won't have any place for an 18-wheeler to park overnight. It will only be along the curb, like we said, fuel, park, go in, get something, and then go someplace else.
Gas, rub, and go.
And that's why, because it said future, and I thought, okay, now is this gonna be something down the road?
Especially, the way it was explained to me, to be determined.
But
Because
Maverick's
they are not wanting,
the overnights.
Long-term,
Right.
parking, that type of stuff.
Maverick's business model kind of shies away from that, so absolutely. Okay. Thank you very much for telling me you came here tonight and we're 4 for 4.
Thank you so much.
They owe you a bonus for burrito. Okay, the next regular planning commission meeting is August 8th. If you can believe we're already talking August. We have a planning or a city council workshop day after tomorrow on Thursday, 6:30. Next regular city council meeting is Tuesday, July 22nd, also at 6:30, right here. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Chad, second?
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you, folks. Yep. Oh, sorry, I missed you.
I thought I was on the deal to apply for a permit for the fence for.
Come on into the.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. Are you for Tashima?
Yep.
Very good, I'm representing my attorney.
Tashima?
Robert.
Yes, we
yeah, I
called
know, 43 Miller.
you. We thought you were there with Mr. Ashley. We just.
Learned a lot about my time.
Commissioners, are we okay to go back on the record? You guys good for another? Okay.
I'm here just to ask for a permit to build the fence, replace the fence that we took down. We'll be using the stakes that were left there that are already concreted in. And, it's going, I don't accuse me of being an architect or an engineer or anything. The only claim to fame I have is I'm the guy that owned the pyramid building in Maumelle for 35 years.
Oh, okay.
And I recently sold it, but Robert is my client, and I'm his client. And so I just plan to put back a fence like you see in New Orleans, but it's gonna be safety and security. It's gonna be a 2x4. Now this is all stainless steel metal. I bought the metal myself previously for another use, and Robert said, well, can you give me a little bit more secure fence? And I said, I can. And so I designed it so it'd be 3.5 feet from the ground up, and then it'll come across, and then the floor to leans will be 1 inch, stainless steel tube piping on top with those there. Now, is there, Robert asked me to, make sure that we could paint it green like the color of their gutters. Is that okay?
There's nothing, I actually, before the meeting, I actually jumped into our, zoning just to make sure, and I looked, so you're in R1, you're classified as residential R1. And the really only 2 rules for it is that it cannot pose a traffic hazard or a viewing, or obstruct the view from like the adjoining lots, which is picket, so that's not a thing.
You'll be able to see through the fence.
Right.
That won't be an issue.
And the proposed fence material and construction method in order to eliminate unsightly or dangerous fences. Stainless steel, I didn't see it running afoul of either of those. The ordinance is, it doesn't say that it has to be a certain color and that it can't be any other color. So,
Just for reference, Robert lives 2 houses up from me.
Right.
So I just wanted to.
Yeah, I drove by, because I just live just 2 roads behind you on Crossing. I had the crazy decoration for Christmas. That's my yard. So I drove by there to look at it, and I always stop at Cross Street and Miller when I come out, when I leave. And I stopped there yesterday or Sunday on the way to church, and I looked at it. And if there was a fence there, by this design, I saw no obstruction. As a driver, in a larger vehicle, the Highlander, I pulled up, and I would be able to see all the way clear down to the light at 365.
Also, in terms of that same, there are 3 houses directly behind Robert. There is a private lane that goes, I think it's
Mayflower, I think. I think it's Mayflower Lane, isn't it?
Okay, maybe Mayflower Lane.
I
But
think
there
it's one
are
of-
some private homes back
Yeah.
there.
Yep.
So if you come out, there won't be any obstruction to those individuals as well.
Right.
Just wanted to make sure that, on that same note.
Yeah. Yeah, doing a little legwork ahead of time.
What's the address again, sir?
Is it 123 Sunrise, is that?
No.
Uh-uh.
What is Robert's address?
I don't know.
Okay, mine is 39,
43.
43.
43.
43 what?
Miller Street.
Miller.
43 Miller.
Yep.
2 houses, west of my house.
Gotcha.
I did, driving around with some legwork in advance of this and looked at our code, and
Yeah.
I personally didn't see any issues, any safety issues. The fence, I mean, it looks like it's gonna look really nice from the street.
I think it'll be. Promise you not like it now.
And how high is the fence?
3.5 feet.
3.5 feet?
3.5 for the bottom part, and then the 1 inch tubes will be on top. And that's what I want to know, is there a
How
height
tall,
level?
how tall are the 1 inch tubes?
Whatever you tell me.
If it
is
goes
the-
back, I don't think,
The level.
I don't know if there's
Gonna look at it.
Somewhere
Looking
between
at it.
6 and 7
Y'all
feet.
looking at,
But the top 3 feet, you'll see, it'll be completely see-through. The bottom feet will have the 2 floors where you can see through, but there'll be it's kind of like a little bit of security.
Sure.
Because
So-
you might need it.
Is the fence going back where the fence is now?
Yeah.
There's a fence, then there's gravel, then there's the
Right.
grass, and there's the
Let's go
street.
right in front
The
of-
fence is going right where it is now. You're just gonna take that down and put the new fence there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's already way back off the street.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I didn't have any concern driving it. I drive out there every day, so.
Did you see it, Kim?
Huh?
Did you see it?
Yeah.
No. It's already way back.
Oh, yeah. I think it's level with that. so
Mayor,
it'd just be-
sunflower.
I'm sorry?
Sunflowers.
Yes, I
on
thought
the
it
street.
was something, I couldn't remember. My point is, I was trying to point out, there is a pass-through street there.
Yeah.
The lane or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
So the obstruction, putting up a
So this
fence
is
would
gonna
not
be-
obstruct
No,
them
it's not.
as far as sight-wise.
What's the height from the ground to the tip of those poles?
What you tell me is permitted.
Okay.
Somewhere between 6 and 7 feet. Of course, I'm 6 feet tall, so somewhere between here and here. But the top half will be completely like that. We can completely see through. The bottom half will be constructed out of the 2x4 stainless steel 2x4. But it'll have vision to it.
You still see.
But it'll keep dogs from going in and, Robert, in a
see what
safe situation.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And the little decorative things on top of that.
That, how tall are the little Florida leaves on the top?
Like 6 inches.
6 inches? Okay.
We can order, the family can order 20 at a time for $20. Made out of.
They look taller, don't they?
They look nice.
I think you'll be proud of it, and,
Yeah.
you know, I'm really proud of you guys. I remember when I came to Maumelle, I lived in Maumelle in '84, and in '93, I bought that 50,000 square foot building. And, I had quite a bit of planning commission and zoning and everything to work on there, and you guys have done an excellent job tonight.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. We
I
try to
enjoy
be
it.
easy to do business with.
Oh, I know you are, and I understand a lot of everything I heard tonight. It's like my history came all the way back.
Flashbacks.
One of the things I would caution you on, you've got a lot of traffic on Miller Street.
Yes.
And you're gonna have to park parallel, with your equipment. Just
Yes.
please be careful.
It'll just be us, it'll just be me.
Yes, okay.
And
Well, nevertheless, just please be careful.
I'm extremely careful to fall completely off of the ditch.
Right, and have some type of, lighting or cones that.
I'll be there because all of the method is already on the place. So we're gonna stick build it right there, because there won't be any necessary anything. And Robert had all of the 811, put
Underground located.
Yeah.
But everything looks good, and I think you'll be proud of it once we get everything finished and we plan on putting some gravel in. So
Does he need to come and get a building permit for that fence, Barbara?
I don't think there's a fee. I think it just says the planning commission.
replacing the fence that was already there, and I don't know if there's a grandfather clause in there.
Well, we'll find that out.
That's what I'm gonna
If there's a
say.
permit or not.
I don't know if you're required to get a permit. I just wanted to make sure that was brought up while we were on
Let me get your name and phone number.
Gary Poole, Poole, 501 445 9948. And I'm currently retired to Hot Springs. So I'm driving back and forth.
Okay.
It won't take a couple of days and we'll have it finished. Okay. I think you'll be really proud of it.
I found the permits. I was looking where, I knew Chris had it on the website.
I think it says it just has to be approved by the planning commission.
It says no permit or subsequent inspection is not required for fence construction in your rear yard. That's permits, so that's not, we've already.
Why don't we, do further research, in lieu of this meeting? And then a call can be made to Mr. Poole, but we won't hold him up.
Yeah.
In terms, if it's.
I'd like to go ahead because it's been about a month, it's down.
Yes, sir.
This says application for a permit to build a fence in the front of the building, the front yard, on a lot or lot shall be made by the owner or agent of said lots to the Mayflower Planning Commission. Then the Planning Commission reviews it, takes into account the two points I brought up earlier with zoning. And then upon finding by the Planning Commission, that the proposed fence does not violate the stated concerns, the being see-through it, constructive, good stuff, then the permit shall be issued.
So we will issue a permit.
Yep.
Okay. So you would need to come by tomorrow and, visit with Barbara and get a permit. Is that right, Barbara?
Chris, excuse me, do we have a permit for the fences yet? Do you know?
Do we have
we have the
application that was in the.
What is it?
Okay, that same one. That's what you filled out. Yes. Yes, yes. So that's all he needs then.
Yeah.
Yes,
Can we answer yes to all that? Do we want to go? Do we
Yeah.
know?
yes, yes. You're good then.
Well, I thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Poole.
Okay, do we want
Might
to
have
vote
people
on
call
that?
me, Bill in there.
We need a motion and a second and a vote on that.
Motion to approve the fence.
Okay.
Motion to approve the fence. Second. All approved, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion to adjourn. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Well,
we have to go back on record.
Okay, we go back into session. Well, then we do this. And then we
Hokey
get-
pokey, yeah?
Okay. I can't find it in
Listen
there.
to
I just remember it's me and Kent, or me and somebody, or me and nobody.
Yeah, nothing in my mind.
It's time to go home.
Filling up my sense.
Can I go home?
Yes. Yes.